I recently posted a video about all my tips regarding traveling northern Thailand, and in that video I promised I would do a similar video for southern Thailand, and when I promise something I always make sure to deliver. So let's talk all things southern Thailand. Can you tell by the smile on my face how much I love this country, how much I enjoyed traveling there, and I want everyone to have as an amazing of a time as I did. So let's get started. So just to give you a bit of an overview of my itinerary, in reality I travelled from Chiang Mai to Khao. That was like a 48-hour journey with like 24 hours in Bangkok. So then I travelled overnight from Bangkok to Khao, and then I travelled from Khao to Ao Nang to Koh Phi Phi, and then from Koh Phi Phi to Surat Thani, Koh Tao, Koh Pha Ngan, and then back up to Bangkok. I also wanted to talk a little bit about what I would have done differently, and I will go into this in more depth as we talk about each place that I visited, but just some overall itinerary related stuff. I just have a couple of places that I would have liked to have seen. So when I was in Koh Pha Ngan, I really wanted to visit Ang Thong National Park. However, due to the weather conditions, it was unsafe for me to travel there. And even though I had a trip booked, it was cancelled due to the weather conditions. So that is something to bear in mind. If it's something that you really want to do, I would probably like budget a few extra days in Koh Pha Ngan or Koh Samui maybe, so that you can make sure that you actually get there. As I said earlier, I got the overnight bus from Chiang Mai to Bangkok, and then I had a day in Bangkok, and then the next night I travelled from Bangkok to Khao. It is tiring. Do bring a sleeping mask, but travelling overnight, if you can cope with it, I would recommend doing it because it does save you money on accommodation, and it also saves you time during the day, like you don't have to travel in the day. So that really worked quite well for me, but I can see how travelling overnight can be, it's not for everyone. So after Bangkok, I made my way to Khao National Park. So I got the bus from Bangkok to, I think, Surat Thani, and then changed to Surat Thani towards Khao. It's not a continuous journey, so be prepared to change overnight if you do this. For me, it wasn't a problem. But again, I can see how it would cause some people an inconvenience. It really depends on the type of travel you want to do, your budget, and how comfortable you want to be. If you're alright with all of this and you don't care too much about being woken up in the middle of the night or potentially staying up all night to travel, then it's fine. Honestly, it was so worth it. Yeah, and also I should also say that there was a couple of hours break in between. So it is a little bit difficult to waste time in the middle of the night because I mean there's not much there. However, they do actually have food. You can buy food. I've been on an overnight sleeper bus in Europe, and I've been on one in Thailand. The one in Thailand is 100 times better. So Khao is a bucket list destination for many people, as I'm sure you know it was for me, and that made it quite hard to book to go. I didn't realise that Khao National Park and where you stay when you visit Khao is actually quite a long distance. It's like an hour and a half drive, and you have to go there on a tour. I'm not sure if you absolutely have to, but if you want to go on the overnight like bungalows and like on the lake and stuff, then you should book a tour. I was generally like, I left everything to the last minute to book, but this is the one place that I would advise you to book well in advance. I really struggled to find a tour. I went with Coco Hostel, but the hostel itself was fully booked. So I ended up, but they had a space on the tour. So I stayed in a different hostel in Khao village, and then I went on the tour as usual with everyone else. And they did give me a discount for it, so it's worth asking. Next up is Ao Nang and Krabi area. So I was recommended by a friend that I met while I was traveling to go to Ao Nang, stayed there instead of Krabi. Ao Nang was really good. It was on the seafront. If you want to go partying, there's parties, there's loads of restaurants, there's a street food market, which, I mean, let's be honest, that's what I love the most about everywhere in Thailand is the street food markets. What else? There's ferries to Koh Phi Phi, and then there's also boat taxis to the beaches in the area, like Rayleigh, Tonsai, etc, etc. I would recommend, if you want to do that, everyone wants to go to like Rayleigh and stuff. Rayleigh is like resort area. If you want to stay there, be prepared that it's going to be a resort, but it's really nice to visit for the day. So I went there with a friend that I met while I was traveling. So I got a boat taxi to Tonsai Beach. I stayed there for a little bit, and then from Tonsai Beach you can hike. It's like a 10-minute walk to Rayleigh. And then when you're in Rayleigh, there's like loads of restaurants and stuff, there's food, you'll find something, there's beaches, there's caves, there's a lagoon, amazing. So then, as I said earlier, I went to Koh Phi Phi. I got the ferry from Ao Nang to Koh Phi Phi. And I didn't quite expect there to be so many people in Koh Phi Phi. Like the port was packed. You couldn't see the floor. Like it was quite overwhelming, to be honest. And it kind of put me in a bad, like, it gave me a bad impression of the island initially, but it was so good. I'm so glad I went. It was definitely the most expensive area that I visited. In terms of food, in terms of accommodation. Actually, it was really hard to find accommodation. I mean, it was still cheap, don't get me wrong, but I was used to paying like £5, €5, €6 per night at this point, and I was paying like maybe 15 in Koh Phi Phi, which it's still very cheap, but compared to other places in Thailand, it's a little bit more expensive, I would say. There's so much to do in Koh Phi Phi, and it's so small. There's like, fun fact, there's a very few bikes, like motorcycles, but you can't hire any. It's just for locals, like getting around with like moving stuff for their work and whatever. There's no cars, like nothing. Like I loved it. This is why I loved it so much. And then you can do so many things. Like one of my favorite activities that I did there was I went kayaking in the sunset. I rented a kayak with a friend that I met there on the day. Like I went for lunch. I met a couple of people, and then I was like, oh, by the way, do you want to come watch the sunset with me? I'm gonna hire a kayak. You know, so like it was fun. It was amazing. So yeah, and then you can also go hiking. They have like a few viewpoints, stunning view, 10 out of 10, love it. Now Koh Phi Phi is on sort of like the west side of Thailand. I then moved over to the east side, which is the Gulf of Thailand, and I went to explore the islands of the Gulf of Thailand. And I loved my time here so much. Adored it, like amazing. 10 out of 10 would recommend to a friend, and I would go there again. I made a quick stop in Surat Thani. If you've travelled to Southern Thailand, or if you've done a lot of research, you might already know this, but Surat Thani is sort of like a hub for like connecting travels. There's a lot of like minivans and buses that stop in Surat Thani, and you have to make a stop there quite often in order to go on to your next destination, whether it's connecting from south to north, east to west. But that is like, it was really nice to see that area because it was like unexpected for me, or like I wasn't planning on going there. So it was very interesting to me to see. They have amazing food there. I ate the best pad see ew. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. So good. And then so then from Surat Thani, I took an overnight ferry to Koh Tao. And quite honestly, this overnight ferry, I was in a room sleeping on a mattress. I was so tired, guys. I needed antihistamines, right? Oh no, it wasn't antihistamines. It was travel sickness tablets because I get car sick. I'm okay like on ferries and stuff, but I get car sick. So I'd taken some travel sickness pills earlier that day, because I had a long car journey, or long bus journey I should say, and the pills were so strong, like whenever I took them they knocked me out. So that night I had probably the best night's sleep I had during my entire stay in Thailand, and I fell asleep before we even left. I think that was actually why I managed to sleep. If I had slept like after everyone had arrived, it would have been a bit of a problem, I'm not gonna lie. Like I think my brain would have processed the amount of people that were there. Then I stayed in Koh Tao for a couple of days, well not a couple of days, probably like almost a week, and I love Koh Tao so much. I learned to scuba dive in Koh Tao. For me it was really big. I had tried to learn to scuba dive when I was younger, but it did not end well, and I had some trauma related to it. I was so scared to do it. Like my body was trying to find excuses to not do it. Other than scuba diving, there are plenty of things to do in Koh Tao. Koh Tao means Turtle Island. A lot of people go there to see turtles. However, I did go on a tour. I went on a tour that was like, it was a snorkeling tour around the island, and although it was generally a nice tour, I hated the part where we saw turtles, and so many people were just like hovering, like 200 people were hovering over a turtle. I felt so sorry for that animal. Like that is so cruel. Like I did not want to be a part of it. I like saw the turtle at the beginning and then I just swam away because there was literally people like swimming over and under me. Like I felt like I was drowning. People were touching it as well, and like we were told not to touch them. Like it was really disrespectful. On one hand, it's not the guide's fault because they did tell us to keep a distance and people didn't listen. But then also the tours, like the groups were huge. Like it was 200 people. That is not, like you can't have 200 people on one tour. So next up was Koh Pha Ngan, and I wish I could redo Koh Pha Ngan to be honest, because I was not in a great mood. I had left Koh Tao to go to Koh Pha Ngan, and I left Koh Tao covered in bed bug bites. Like the last day I was there, I had to change hostels, and it was bad. Like I was covered in bed bug bites, and this is the only time that I had them, and luckily I got rid of them like straight away. Like yeah, but I'd taken antihistamines, and the antihistamines, they make me really drowsy, like the travel sickness. I think actually travel sickness pills are antihistamines, but I get really drowsy. So I slept for a lot of the time that I was in Koh Pha Ngan, and then I was also, yeah, I wasn't feeling great, and a couple of things had gone not so well, so yeah. But Koh Pha Ngan, best food, like best spring rolls, oh, food market. My mouth is watering, guys. I want to go back just for the food. Yeah. Anyway, I think that concludes the rundown of my plan in Thailand, my tips and recommendations. I really hope you found this video helpful. Let me know if there's anything that I missed, or if there's anything you would like to know. I would be happy to do a part 3, or I would also be willing to just do a general like backpacking video, answering your questions about backpacking specifically. So it's up to you. Let me know what you would like to see. I'm really happy to do some more like sit down videos. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video very, very soon. But until then, I hope you have a good one. Bye!